with nails. I hope I don't poke my eye out. Oh, hey! Hi! It's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of Drag Race España, Season 1, Episode 1. And before I get started, well, I want to thank some tipper-doos. Kjorsdan Nicol, whom I'm assuming is Scottish. I'm a Scottish Canadian, although I've never been to Scotland, so if I'm wrong about your heritage and pronouncing your name completely wrong, which I do all the time, my apologies, doll, seriously. I also want to send a big old squishy hug to Susan Nikolai, who wished me a happy Pride Month. Right back at you, Susan. Mwah, seriously. Speaking of Pride Month, for the month of June, all of the proceeds from the sale of my Wilma Pride products, which were designed by Laura D'Souza, by the way, off my Redbubble store, will be going to Rainbow Railroad. I'm going to be donating them so we can support our LGBTQI plus family members on an international level. There's a link to the Rainbow Railroad and my Redbubble store in the description box down below. Now, speaking of Redbubble, I have a Redbubble model. This is Andre. He's French, sexy, and he's sporting the 50-foot Wilma t-shirt designed by Denise Journeau, and he's sporting it at Versailles, the court of Versailles. Look at my merch. It's better traveled than I am. It's probably because it doesn't breathe on people. That's probably why. Looking good, Andre. Seriously. Now, for any of you that do get any of the products that are available on my Redbubble page, please post them and tag me in them, or better yet, just send me the picture. If we're following each other on the Instagrams or on the Twitters, you can just send me a picture directly so that I can feature you here, especially the Rainbow Pride shirts. I just am so proud of them. I think Lar did a great job, and I would just love to make sure that all of you out there supporting the Rainbow Railroad get your moment right here on the Fingerdoo Review. And speaking of moments, I feel like I'm ready to fight crime. These fabulous nails were sent to me by the House of Milan, which is on Instagram. I'm going to put their link down below too. Look at these. They're nice and spring-like, which is why I wore this top with them. Green and sparkly with, I'll tell you, I opened the box for this and I almost went blind. I think these are just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I just happen to have these gloves that I made that were in desperate need of something because they were all right, but they weren't this nice. Seriously, I'm going to put my eye out if not somebody else's. Okay, now before we get started, Jorge, drink me. Ooh, thank you, Jorge. Is this another Cuba Libre? That's rum and Coke for all of you. Well, I'm sure you all, I didn't know that. I don't go anywhere. I don't see anything. I feel more Spanish already. I'm just going to say. So, we're finally here. Drag Race España. 10 brand new queens from the latest country in the Drag Race franchise, duking it out to be Spain's next drag superstar. And not only take home the crown and scepter, but also receive a 1-year supply of Crash Cosmetics, which is a fantastic makeup line created by Spanish YouTuber Alvaro Cruz in 2019. I mean, it's a new line. And you should check them out. I'm going to put a link to them down below too, because I was thoroughly impressed with this makeup line when I checked it out. But that's not all. The winning queen will also receive 30,000 euro, which is about $36,000 American, or $10 million Canadian. But enough about that. Let's get to the queens. The first reina through the workroom doors was Arantxa Castilla-La Mancha, the Spanish Hannah Montana. And right away, I like this queen. She's adorable, fun, and just a little bit silly. I can see her pissing off some of the more serious glamatrons with that perky disposition. By the way, perky disposition was my drag queen name in high school. Hot on her heels was the extremely skinny and stunningly beautiful Sagittaria. Arantxa felt she was serving editorial edition Elsa from Frozen, but all I was getting was blue Grecian goddess with a big old boy nipple on the side. This side. Just saying. Did that not distract you? I don't care if these queens pad, but throw a pasty on that nip. And at least try to complete the illusion is what I'm saying. Seriously. Sagittaria clearly takes herself too seriously and doesn't seem to take Arantxa seriously at all. While those two coolly kikied, one of the queens I was so looking forward to meeting, Horacio Crujente, I'm going to say all these names wrong, made her entrance. I love this queen already. She's beyond art and will probably be dismissed by the Glamazons as a freak, which I love when a queen is seriously underestimated. Seriously. Speaking of Glamazons, next through the workroom door was Carmen Farala. This queen is breathtaking. I love how she said that her Versace is Versace even though she made it. In her mind, it's Versace, and she'll sell it as such. She did say Versace, right? Not Versace. One thing was for sure. Secretaria wasn't impressed by her overuse of tanning spray. Whoever is, really. I'm just going to ask. Thank goodness an obvious comedy queen was next through the doors. Yodeling up a storm in her lederhosen was Poupie Poisson. I loved her energy. She seems to be a sweetheart and at 38 is nobody's fool. For someone who seemed excited to meet Horacio, she didn't seem too impressed by her unless hot mess means something different in Spanish. Although Poupie did say everyone looked gorgeous, Carmen was the first to throw down the shade gauntlet by telling Poupie she looked gorgeous too. Or at least she tried. Personally, those lederhosen told me that she didn't try at all. While the daggers flew, Killer Queen entered the workroom representing her day job as a doctor in the best drag way possible. Everyone seemed to know who Killer was, so I'm expecting her to wow me this season. Next to the workroom doors, doing her namesake proud and ringing her own bell, was Dovima Nouri. Right away you could tell from the look on Secretaria's face that there was history and it looked like it was going to repeat itself. Dovima is stunning and fancies herself a goth queen with a sense of humor, which, no matter what language you speak, doesn't always translate well. I'm just going to say. I mean, when's the last time a goth person made you laugh? Right away, we found out that Dovima and Secretaria used to be roommates. Now, I'm not sure if that's roommates or just roommates, but one thing is for sure. They are not friends. Something Poupie picked up on immediately. Poupie picked on. I'm not going to make it through this season. I'm just telling you now. All Dovima had to say about it was, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. I mean, however she says it, Secretaria comes off as a devil. Clearly, this is going to be the season of the skinny fashion queens because Inti strutted her way into the workroom next. Gee whiz, she is one tall drink of stunning water, this one. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say this may also be the season of the bitchy queen because that Carmen seemed to have something to say about every queen that walked through those workroom doors after her. And it wasn't always pleasant, just saying. Inti grew up in Madrid and is now living in Belgium, so I'm expecting to see some international uniqueness from this queen, which may explain her decision not to pat her tuck. Neither did her purse, but seeing as they both identify as non-binary, it's all good in the hood, or in this case, the handbag. Either way, Poupie wasted no time grabbing that purse and going through it. And that's when Drag Volcano stomped her way through the workroom doors. If Inti was tall, Volcano was gargantuan. Those boots alone were enough to gag the nation. But her outfit, wow. I mean, it may have been a leotard, but she'd taken it well beyond that. This queen is going to give Horacio a run for her money, I'm so serious. But I have $5 that says she falls off those boots at least once before the end of the season. Seriously. Last but not least, through the workroom doors with a rowdy "What's up?" was the Macarena. Trigger alert, it looks like these queens calling each other is something we're all going to have to get used to. I don't know if I have the strength. After Drag Volcano, Macarena looked like a Polly Pocket princess, if you ask me. And she brought snacks. Pork rinds and hummus. Now, there's a combination. Her self-professed weirdness aside, I was very glad to hear Macarena speak English, even if it was just for a hot second. Seriously, I needed a bit of a break. Carmen worried that the food Macarena brought might be poison, but before anyone could test out her theory, there was Supreme Deluxe with the season's first video message, welcoming them all to season 1. And then there was Supreme, looking ravishing in a monochromatic red suit ensemble. Everyone lost their natural minds, especially when Supreme told them that the cash prize this year was €30,000. But they couldn't celebrate for long because it was time for Drag Race España's first ever mini challenge to have their picture taken while riding a mechanical bull. I knew they fought bulls and ran with bulls in Spain, but I thought riding one was something Americans did. Although, in an attempt to stop bullfighting in Spain, American cowboys have been trying to introduce rodeo culture as an alternative to Spain for years, so maybe it's starting to catch on. I don't know. All I do know is that we got our first glimpse of the Spanish pit crew riding that mechanical bull, and I was good. I have a suspicion that Carmen is too cool for school. She seemed to have no idea what a pit crew is. Yeah, right, like she's never watched Drag Race in any language, I'm just saying. Apparently, her issue is in using English. They're in Spain, so she doesn't want to call the pit crew the pit crew. She's going to call them Los Chuletos. I would have just called them Hey Papi. First to mount the bull was the Macarena, and she looked worried. That is, until she got her padded ass up on that thing, and then she looked totally at home. And then the bull started moving. She was thrown off faster than it took her to get on that thing. Seriously. But to her credit, she never stopped posing. Bless. Sagittaria was next, and she was another one who mounted the beast with ease. But staying astride was another thing altogether. But hey, she did look good trying. Dovima was next, and I'm surprised she stayed up on that bull for as long as she did, which wasn't very long at all. It appears the skinny ones don't have the thigh muscles to hold on. Although, from her picture, it sure looked like she was trying. Yeah, trying not to fart. Bless. Inti jumped on that bull like a pro, and by pro, I mean hooker. Maybe that's why the bull took a moment or two to get moving. Maybe production felt she'd ridden hard enough for one day. Carmen Farala was next, and there was another one who's no stranger to straddling a wild beast. Although, from the screams of the other queens, that bull wasn't the only thing between her legs. Apparently, she had a big bag of candy. Personally, I saw nothing. I was too distracted by her big smile. That's not what you thought I was going to say. Pig. Poopy was next, and to be honest, I thought she was the best dressed for this challenge. What with all that yodeling she did. Killer Queen may be a doctor, but she is no expert at mounting a bull. Maybe she should have gone to veterinary school instead. It took a helping hand from the pit crew to get her up on that thing, and when she did, she didn't stay there for long. Bless. God bless Horatio. She had to take all her headgear off to ride that bull. Apparently there were complaints. Volcano needed no help mounting the bull. All she had to do was straddle it and then sit down. Seriously. She's so tall in those boots, her ears must pop every time she stands up. Just saying. Last but not least was Arancha, who took to that bull like a duck takes to, well, a bull. All I can say is Arancha didn't win any points for style, but she definitely out-yodeled Poopy. Plus, she didn't have any panties on, which meant the photographer was sure to capture her best assets. And when the queens had all limped out of the bull ring, Supreme announced that Carmen Farala was the winner of the first mini challenge. Her prize? A big advantage in the Maxi challenge. But first, these queens had to unpack and de-drag. As the queens all de-glued and untaped, I haven't heard that much screaming since, well, about 4 minutes ago, really. While the queens took off their drag, I was very touched to hear Macarena admit to the shame she felt over her body and how she's only recently been able to come to terms with her relationship with herself through therapy. Well done, Macarena. Here's to you, sweetheart. And then it was Maxi challenge time, and with a dulcet call from Supreme, 3 of the pit crew wheeled in 3 big carts full of rummage sale items. The queens had to create a runway look using these items. Since Carmen won the mini challenge, she got to pick first. Now, I thought it was going to be a free-for-all grab-what-you-can situation, but no. The items were organized into separate bundles, and Carmen got to go through them and pick which bundle she wanted first. Then the free-for-all started as the rest of the queens grabbed whatever bundle they could. There were no leftovers, so what the queens got was what they had to use. Right away, the queens got down to it. Of course, there were some issues for some of the queens. Macarena seemed disappointed that all her bundles seemed to be made up of bathroom items. Sagittaria had hula hoops and baby onesies, which were probably still too big on her. Even though she picked her box first, Carmen was stressing because she wasn't being inspired by its contents. The same cannot be said for Killer Queen. Within minutes, she seemed to be cutting fabric and sewing it together. Obviously, the other queens started to worry. Dovima seemed to worry the most, to the point where she was even questioning what she was doing in the competition at all. Bless her. Thankfully, Supreme popped in to check on their progress. Carmen admitted she was lost, and, well, Supreme could tell because of all the queens, Carmen seemed to have the least done so far. Sagittaria seemed to have some sort of plan started, and it involved her balls and rings. Well, I was intrigued. Dovima was next, and it appeared that her design relied heavily on stretched fabric, even though she didn't have any. To distract from their dressmaking, Dovima and Sagittaria told Supreme that they used to live together. Apparently, they parted ways after a big fight over a man. Too bad. I'll bet that whoever won that man is probably not seeing them anymore. Both queens promised to reveal all at the finale. Well, let's hope they make it that far. Seriously. And with that, Supreme wished them all well and, well, frigged off. And then it was elimination day. Carmen had a look at what everyone else was doing and suddenly felt very safe about her outfit. Macarena was feeling better about her runway, but I feel that that was more of a diversion so the other queens wouldn't see how worried she was. As the queens finished their runways, there was some shade thrown at Carmen's history with silicone, which she totally took offense at. Of course, that makes me think their accusations are true. Inti asked the room how they felt about the global trans revolution and if it's made them question whether or not they themselves are trans. For the most part, Carmen and Poopy have had fans question their gender identity, but they didn't say how they felt about it one way or the other. Macarena admitted to being non-binary even though she presents herself as a masculine male, and then asked how many of the queens identified as non-binary. Macarena, Inti, Arantxa, and Huguetio all put their hands up. Carmen talked about wanting to play with dolls as a child, but because she wasn't allowed to, she made her own. From ribbon. Makes me think of Dorothy Spornak with that paper bird. Inti talked about dancing around to Spanish music sensation Maria Isabel with a feathered fan as a child, and her grandmother saying that she was queer, but her mother said, no, he's an artist. That's a great answer. Sagittaria talked about her mom giving her sister a pair of Maria Isabel shoes that she thought were for her. When she found out they weren't, Sagittaria told her mom she wanted a pair, so she went right out and bought her some. It's another great response to a child's request. Huguetio talked about how her mother stopped talking to the other mothers at school after they called her son a freak. She told them all to go to hell. I'm with Arantxa. Here's to those supportive moms out there. There's way more of them out there than we think because the horror stories always seem to take up the spotlight. So cheers to good moms. Cheers to good dads too. They're out there too. Macarena brought up a good point. Adults don't think they can talk to kids about this stuff because they won't understand it. What they really mean is they don't know how to explain it. But she's right. Kids understand things a lot quicker than we think. Bastards. Even though what Macarena said was very insightful, the only thing Carmen was getting from it all was that Macarena talks. A lot. I bet Carmen wouldn't find her so annoying if she thought she was hot. Just saying. Poopy wasn't paying attention to anyone. She was feeling lost with her runway. She predicted that her outfit was going to be a poop parade. Although, I thought what she did to those shoes was adorable. By the way, Poop Parade was the name of my one-woman show in high school. As Arantxa, Sagittaria, and Huguetio got ready, Arantxa asked how they felt about their runway looks. For the most part, they were concerned, although Arantxa knew she'd at least feel comfortable wearing hers, but that wasn't stopping her from learning the lip sync. Sagittaria was worried that her runway wouldn't be enough. Well, we were all going to find out because it was time for the runway. Supreme looked lovely in her ruffled fantasy. Joining her at the judges' table was Javier Ambrosi, looking gorgeous in his blue and burgundy striped suit. The 2020 National Fashion winner, Anna Locking, was also there as well, looking marvelous in metallic mint. Javier Calvo was also there looking sexy in sequins. And rounding out the judges' table was the gorgeous model and actor, John Cortajarena. God, this man is gorgeous. No wonder Supreme flirted with him relentlessly. I know I would. I need another minute. And then it was time for the runway. Up first was Inti. I liked her runway, but I think that was more because of how she styled it than what she actually made. Plus, her runway walk is everything. Fingerdoo for Inti. Arantxa Castilla-La Mancha was super cute in her runway. Was it innovative? No. But she sold it with the help of that bubble gun, so I gave her a Fingerdoo as well. I loved Hugathio Cruiente's runway. It was full concept from her makeup to her fringe fingers, which she used to mop up her tears. I was so impressed and had no trouble giving her a Fingerdoo. Just saying. I really like Killer Queen's outfit as well. The springtime theme was beautiful, and I thought she used her materials well. Hell, she even had a flower as a ring. Fingerdoo for Killer. For an outfit with very little to it, I didn't hate Sagittaria's runway. The belt looked uncomfortable, and I might have chosen a different wig, but it certainly wasn't the worst, so I gave it a Fingerdoo. I didn't hate the Macarena's runway. Her wig was gorgeous, but I felt the dress would have looked a lot better if she'd had hemmed it, or at the very least cut it so it was all straight. Still, that pink swan was cute, so I gave her a Fingerdoo as well. The best part of Dovima Nurmi's runway was the tied hose, you heard me, wrapped around her torso. But a hose doesn't make the outfit, and the rest of the garment was confusing and obviously hard to walk in, so I had to give her a Fingerdoo. Seriously. Poopy Poisson's outfit had too much going on, if you ask me. I mean, I like where she was going with that big collar, but that pink bit down the middle, you heard me, was distracting, and the blue thing at her waist took her shape away. Sadly, this got a Fingerdoo as well. For someone who was fretting over this challenge, Carmen Farella had the only actual outfit on that runway. At first glance, you wouldn't have known that it was a mattress cover and a pillowcase. Mind you, they're still fabric and much easier to work with than, well, a shower curtain. But still, this look totally got a Fingerdoo for me, seriously. Last but not least was Drag Volcano. This was another busy look, but I loved the headpiece with matching shoulders, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. And then it was time for the judges' critiques. Right away, Inti, Killer, Arantxa, and Volcano were safe, so they gladly frigged off. As for the rest, first in the firing line was Hugathio. Anna Locking was obviously in love. She couldn't say enough about Hugathio's runway and proved it by comparing it to some of the best couture designers ruling the runways today. It's to Hugathio, seriously. Sagittaria was next and was an obvious favorite of John Cortajarena, who was beyond impressed by her intergalactic S&M look that he felt looked sophisticated and risky. Tell him what's sophisticated and risky. The Macarena was another story. John felt it wasn't as sophisticated as it could have been and was disappointed by the piece of paper that was still pinned to the unfinished ham. I hadn't even seen that. Clearly neither had she. The same was true for Dovima. John felt her inability to walk on the runway ruined the look. Javier Calvo added that despite this look, he thinks she's really talented. Poopy was next, and although Javier Calvo thought she was fun, her runway was not his favorite. Clearly, Poopy's reputation outside the show preceded her because Javier Ambrosi understood the risk she was taking with her career just by being there. It's the nicest way I've ever heard anyone say they didn't like an outfit in my life. Seriously. Carmen was next, and Javier Ambrosi couldn't say enough about her runway. Neither could Anna Locking. She was beyond impressed that Carmen even lined her vest. Needless to say, Carmen got a tad emotional. The tough ones always do. Back in the workroom, the safe queens were clearly relieved knowing they survived the first episode. They shared with each other who they thought was on top. Inti thought Carmen and Macarena did the best. Volcano thought Poopy might be in the bottom, but they didn't have to guess for long because the rest of the queens entered the workroom. Hugathio predicted that Carmen was the winner because the judges loved her. Poopy shared that the judges said the challenge wasn't her thing. Dovima said that what she got from the critiques was that she's her own worst enemy. The rest of the queens were just happy to see her being so honest and vulnerable, something she was sure would ruin her reputation. She's goth. Macarena thought it would be her and Poopy in the bottom. Well, she was half right. Back on the main stage, everyone was surprised, but also happy to hear that it was Horacio who won top honors this week. But none was happier than Horacio, no matter what her face looked like. No, she's really smiling, I'm just saying. Sadly, this week's bottom two were Macarena and, surprise, surprise, Dovima, and poor Dovima was not pleased. For the most part, I wasn't impressed by this lip sync. The Macarena was way more interesting to watch, and I thought she had it in the bag until Dovima stepped it up by whipping out a chrome cane or baton or whatever the heck that was. Personally, I was more interested in knowing where it came from. Seriously. Either way, you could feel her energy in the lip sync change at that moment. And then it all fell apart, or better yet, off. Macarena lost her wig. I was shocked. So was she. And you could feel she knew it was all over for her. But she carried on like a champ. A champ who's about to lose. And then it was all over, and the votes were tallied, and it was Dovima who shantaed, and it was Macarena who got the dreaded pork chop. But not before she shared some heartfelt words about what drag and this show means to her. And then she threw a big old hissy fit and stormed off. Here's to the Macarena. I love that. So, there's our introduction to the premiere season of Drag Race España. What did we think? Did the right queen go home? Should Macarena have been in the bottom? Will Dovima be there again next week? All we can do is tune into Drag Race España next week to see how it all plays out. And then, when you're done, you come on back and see me so you and I can compare notes. Now, don't forget to like this video. If you did, thumbs up is what I'm saying, thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next week, miss me! Mwah! Seriously. That was the best sachet away in Drag Race history, if you ask me. She got a great sense of humor. I'm going to miss the Macarena, I'm just saying. I don't know how people go through life with these things on. Thank God I don't have to go to the bathroom. I'd be in fear of losing limbs and appendages. Appendage. I'm surprised, actually, that the Macarena was in the bottom. I didn't hate her outfit. Seriously, though, these are stunning. You know what? These would be great for picking your nose and just get right. I'll tell you one thing's for sure. All of these names are going to be the death of me. I mean, I wonder if English names are as hard to say if you're Spanish as Spanish names are to say if you're English. Mind you, everything's hard for me to say. I lisp.